what is it that you fear we would lose if people stopped believing that there was a God, or believing there was value in believing there was a God?
We'd lose the metaphoric substrate of our ethos, and we'd be lost.
And so I'm
I think Nietzsche
an
was
uneducated,
right about that.
so I really want to know, and I'm not being a dick. I want to know what you mean by metaphorical substrate, because saying we're going to lose it, so there's the idea. When I ask, what do you think we're going to lose? There's two things. One is there's something that you and I would both agree we should try to keep.
Yeah.
And there are other things that you and I might disagree on whether or not we should keep it. Because when people say to me, oh, if we go down the road with Dostoevsky, that, if there is no God, everything's permissible. First of all, I don't think that's remotely true, because I have...
He makes a pretty vicious case for it, beyond good and evil.
And despite the fact that it sounds monumentally arrogant, I think I can demolish that case in about 2 minutes with his secular morality lecture. Well,
I think the first part of that statement is right, but not the second one.
And we could find out. But the thing is, there would be two categories of things that you and others might be fearful we would lose, some of which I might agree we should definitely not lose these things.
Yep.
Others I might be absolutely fine with losing.
Like that it's wrong to throw Sam Harris off a stage.
Yeah. I don't plan on doing that, but
well, we both
it did
agreed
cross my mind at one point.
We both agreed that was probably wrong.
Yes.
So that's good.
Probably.
Yeah.
See, I'm a situational ethicist, and so there might be situations. If the stage were on fire, throwing Sam off would be the best thing I could do for him. So what do you think we're likely to lose? What bothers you? And when you say metaphorical substrate, I'm probably just monumentally ignorant, but I really don't think I have a good understanding of what you mean.
Well, there's levels of thought. I mean, every thought structure, let's say, every belief structure is multi-leveled, like a piece of music. And there's the word in a phrase, and then there's the phrase, and then there's the sentence, and then there's the paragraph, and then there's the sequence of paragraphs within which the paragraphs are uttered, and then there's a broader context of interpretation within which all of that is interpreted. And then there's our emotional and motivational similarity, and then there's our embodiment in the world. And all of those things are operative at all times when we're understanding one another. And as you move outside the realm of the linguistic, like the paragraph level, let's say, into the realm of the emotional and motivational and embodied, you also move into the metaphorical. And the metaphorical is structured in a particular way. And this is quite well documented, by the way. I mean, if you look at how the hemispheres interact, so the left hemisphere, broadly speaking, and I'm not oversimplifying this except that we don't have much time, is linguistic. But the linguistic utterances are understood in the context provided more by the right hemisphere, which is nonverbal and which attends to things like the music of language. And so at the bottom of a linguistic structure, there's something that's extra linguistic, and it tends to take form in metaphor and narrative and drama and that sort of thing. And the religious landscape is the narrative, metaphor, drama landscape. And if you disrupt it, then you blow apart the widest possible context within which the specific utterances are rendered comprehensible.
Okay, so I followed all that, shockingly. Anytime you were talking about science and hemispheres and all this other stuff, so when you're talking about the broader context, if we lose belief in a God, we lose that metaphorical substrate that is the broader context in which we evaluate these narratives.
Yeah, that really grinds them into our bodies, that makes them things we believe rather than just think.
Sure, but
see, you didn't
what
just
is it about
think,
the narratives?
You didn't just think that it was wrong to throw Sam off the stage.
God, Sam's going to be pissed when he hears it.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Well, so
see, there's a difference between thinking something and believing it, because to believe it, it has to be thought incarnated in some sense. It has to be embodied.
When I talk about it, belief is the state of being convinced that a proposition is true or likely true. It's everything that I try to do, I tend to view in the form of propositional reasoning. So when we talk about the narrative...
Yeah, that's a problem, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you can't reduce the world to a set of propositions.
Why not?
Oh. look.
Show me something that is
No
true
problem,
in the world that is not a proposition. That
Like
you
an
cannot
explicit,
put in the
statable proposition?
something that is demonstrably true that I could not put in a proposition.
Oh, that's easy. You
Okay.
sure you want to go there?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Okay. Okay.
If I'm wrong, I want to know I'm wrong. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to, for years, I had this thing going where people would say, oh, and this is kind of what we're getting at from a different angle. I would say they would be afraid of what we would lose if we lost religion. And I basically said, demonstrate to me any benefit.
Oh, you'd lose art and poetry and drama and narrative and
Why?
story.
Are there no godless artists and poets?
There are artists and poets who think they're godless.
So we might have crossed over into a problem area because
no doubt.
I can't draw for crap, although I do draw during the show. But one of the individuals who came to the show the other night handed me something that she had spent a great deal of time drawing. She's a wonderful artist. I'm very grateful to get it. And, while I pretend to read minds on stage, I constantly acknowledge that I can't actually read minds. So I can't tell you whether or not she actually believes in a God, but I can tell you that I actually don't believe in a God, and I could write
But you act
poetry.
like you do.
Huh?
But you act like you do. That's why you didn't
I
want to throw
act
poor
like-
Sam off the stage.
No, now you're making a claim. Okay, so I'm telling you I don't believe there's a God, and
Yeah.
your response to that is, I really do, because I have a moral sense. But my moral sense is utterly without any appeal to a God,
Explicitly.
or implicitly.
Maybe.
The f-
That's not so obvious.
okay, it's really
See, because
it's
you
easy.
regard Sam Harris as an implicitly valuable entity. Because otherwise you'd just throw him off the stage. And then the question is, well, just exactly why is he an implicitly valuable entity?
I don't
What's your
think he's-
metaphysics of that?
I don't think he's implicitly valuable in the sense, in the. I don't think he's implicitly valuable in the sense that the universe has implied that there's something explicit about it. For me, morality is far simpler than some people.
Now, wait,
make
you
it out
sounded
to be.
doubtful about that. You know that, like
Maybe
you've been
you're the
sounding-
mind reader.
you've been- well, maybe.
Because you've already suggested that despite me sitting here and having talked about this for decades, that I don't believe in God, that I actually do because I have a moral code. But my moral code, which I've
Well, I was
talked
more
about,
specific. I said it was because you didn't want to throw Sam off the stage. It
yes,
wasn't
but
just
you
that
didn't.
had a
You didn't
moral code.
You didn't even attempt to ask me why I didn't throw Sam off the stage. Instead, you went to why do you think Sam has implicit value? Because it seems that in your narrative,
I'm willing
that's
to go
the
there.
only justification.
Well, maybe you were afraid of being punished.
I think no.
Oh,
I think
okay.
you can have a perfectly acceptable foundation for secular morality, even if it fundamentally centers around selfishness. I'd rather not be thrown off the stage. It's in my best interest to encourage that sort of understanding in others, and therefore I will not throw him off the stage. I would rather not have my stuff stolen, and it's in my best interest to encourage others not to do that, so I will not steal stuff, and I will work with others to ensure that the people who steal stuff are punished. It is in a virtually pragmatic moral system.
Why do you think it's not in your best interest to have stuff stolen from you or to be thrown off the stage?
Why is it not in my best interest?
Yeah. No, you don't get to think, oh, that's self-evident. It's like nothing's self-evident to the skeptic. Let's keep that in mind.
Oh.